1, 2, 3. That was a bit. The
Well,
timing was a bit off.
we could try it again if you want.
No, it's fine.
Back at you. Another episode of Unfiltered Copenhagen. Dolph.
Here we are on this great day in Copenhagen with me and you for it, as usual.
Yeah, it's been great for like the past 5 days or something.
It's not been very good. No. It's warm though.
It is unseasonably warm temperature-wise, yeah, but it's like 100% humidity, gray, pissing down just a little bit of mist and rain.
Yeah, I always check the weather before I leave home. And it was, 12 degrees when I came here? So I'm like, well, 12 degrees, that's not very warm. I'm going to need some...
I'm not going to be sweating when I arrive.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But, I was drinking coffee. Maybe that helped.
Boosted up your...
Yeah, my inner temperature. But it's much warmer than I expected it to be, and then it looks like.
Yeah, I really could have used a little extra good weather, because remember last week on the weekend it was like an Indian summer, which is a term I never really heard before until I came to Denmark. But I guess it's an unseasonably warm and nice weather when it's really not supposed to be at the beginning.
Yeah, but
of the
last
fall.
weekend it was like 17 degrees.
Yeah,
so at least
it was sunny.
The temperature. Yeah, the temperature was like it. What's the word?
Unseasonably warm.
Yeah, I mean it was warm. Like there were warm temperatures. Today it said it was 12 degrees, but I got tricked. It felt like much more than that.
Could be the humidity. I think that's usually it, the humidity.
Is the humidity here high or low or what?
In general, I think it's pretty dry here, but right now it's quite wet. Especially in the winter, too. I think it's super dry.
Yeah, I know the humidity is different here than in Portugal, but I never know which one is wet or dry or what. I like the cold weather here a lot more, though. It's easier to tolerate.
Do you think so?
Than in Portugal? Yeah, for sure.
It doesn't even get that cold in Portugal, does it?
Well, it doesn't get that cold in terms of numbers, but so for example,
I guess it's windy, right? Because you're right off the.
I think it's less windy than here.
Okay.
I mean, you have so many windmills here. The story I always tell is there was a Christmas that I was in Portugal. Well, and I was driving to the airport, and it was 2 degrees. And I was freezing my ass off, like 2 degrees. It was really fucking cold. And then I was flying into Germany. And then I got to Berlin. And -6 or -8, I think, or something. It was like significantly colder.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt much nicer. It felt so much nicer.
It's got to be the humidity.
Yeah, it has to be the humidity.
But you were driving and you were cold?
Well, my mom was driving. I was in the car.
You didn't have like a heater in the car?
Well, yeah, but it was still cool. We just got into the car. It takes a while for the car to warm up. You know, it's not America where you just spend 20 minutes warming up the car just because gas is cheap. You know.
Well,
gotcha.
Yeah, maybe. Actually, my last house we had a garage, so every time I got into the car, it was at least like a decent temperature. That was nice. I can highly recommend having a garage if you can swing it.
I never had. I mean, we had a garage, like when I was a kid. In my parents' place, we had a garage, but it was so difficult to get the car in and out of there that we never used it. So I really don't really know what it is to have a garage in terms of, how that changes. I don't know, your lifestyle or your the warmth in the car. It
makes some things easier. It's basically when it's shitty outside, it means that you can still get in the car in like nice conditions. You don't have to run out there with your arm over your head while it's raining, trying to get in the door quick. Come on, get in the car, guys. Especially if there's like some kids, you got to buckle them in and all that. I don't know.
I associate garages with, from movies, I associate with like a shed, like a work shed,
like a workshop.
A workshop, yeah, like with tools and stuff like that. And from my own personal life, it's just another kind of a warehouse.
Closet. It's like a closet.
Yeah, just to put shit.
Yeah,
that's where we used to keep the lumber, the wood.
Yeah,
for the firewood, for the
firewood. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's lumber used for? Is it building wood?
Well, lumber is more for building. Yeah. I don't know why that word is technically different, but you would never really say, "Oh, we got to," like when referring to firewood, "Oh yeah, we got some lumber out back,"
Yeah.
unless you were going to use good building lumber to burn like you know what I mean, like inefficiently. Like,
Yeah.
well, God, how are we going to survive through this cold winter? I guess we're going to have to burn the lumber, But
Yeah. I
it
see.
would be more like we have some firewood. I don't know what the
What about timber? Timber is like the just
timber.
chopped down trees or what?
Yeah, I think it's unprocessed or like not fully, yeah, formed into like let's say 2x4s or yeah, cut into specific sizes yet.
Hmm.
Could be wrong.
Why is it 2 by 4?
Two
I
inch,
mean,
two
yeah,
inches by 4 inches. I don't know.
but
It
is that a
just
standard
yeah, it just
or?
became a standard. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I only know of 2 by 4s because of Full Throttle. Do you know Full Throttle, the computer game?
No.
Anyway, okay, I only know about 2 by 4s because it's like a weapon to hit people with.
Hmm. I'm sure that ratio is not an accident, right?
Mm,
Because what is it like the not the Pythagorean theorem, but you have that like the spiral that they find in like a Fibonacci spiral, right?
okay, yeah,
Where it's like one is like one and then two and then it continues to double and stuff like that.
yeah.
It's like a Fibonacci sequence. And I'm pretty sure that 2x4s became like a standard for some reason other than just it happened to be convenient as a number thing. Like it was either structurally more sound or like a better strength to weight ratio or something. It'd be interesting to look that up
Okay,
though.
so it wasn't just a random number that they
Well,
came up with.
I'm just talking out of my ass. It could have been a random
That's
number
fine
they
for
came
it.
up with, but I have a feeling that it was for a
That
reason.
there's some scientific background.
Yeah, should be a reason, right?
Well, I don't know.
What's the standard like wooden plank
I
piece for building walls in Europe? Is it 20
I
centimeters by
have
40
no.
centimeters?
I'm the furthest away from any kind of
So 20
carpenter or
millimeters by 40. See, that would be more like what? 4 centimeters by 8 centimeters, maybe
I don't know.
3 by 6.
Have you ever built stuff
Like wooden stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in industrial arts class. We built, what did I build there that I was kind of happy with? I think the first thing I built was like a birdhouse. I gave it to my grandfather. It's still out in his backyard.
Okay.
So that's a real quality piece right there. It's been around like 20,
So basically, a
25
tiny
years.
house with a circular hole.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I built what else did I build? Some other stuff. We did it out of acrylic as well. I'm trying to think what we made out of acrylic. Huh. I can't recall now. And we also did, of course, those little derby cars, where you take a wooden block and you put some axles to it and then you cut it and sand it to be like it needs to meet a certain minimum and maximum weight. And then like the aerodynamics, you basically like roll these things down a hill like a track, and whoever's is the fastest and most aerodynamic and stuff like that wins.
But is that just like a board with wheels, or is that like a real? It's more complex than that, or
No,
what?
no, no. It's not really more complex than that. It's literally like a small like a block of wood that
Hmm.
they give it to you, and it's just quite literally a rectangle of wood. And
Yeah.
I think it already has some pre-drilled axles through it, so there's no competitive advantage there. And the wheels are standard. But then you basically take that block and cut it to kind of the aerodynamic shape you want it, and you can also like cut out the edges a little bit to maybe you basically design a car out of wood, and it needs to meet some weight limitations, min and max. And then it's just powered by gravity, and whoever has the best one wins. Some kind of, I think it's also pretty common in like Boy Scouts and stuff like that. When you're, I don't know, 7, 8 years old,
Yeah.
it's like giving kids something to do with their hands and their mind and all that.
I was never much of a
An outdoorsman?
outdoors guy.
No.
No, when I was younger, I guess I'm still not.
Yeah, I think the biggest trip of my life that I had that was outdoors that really felt significant was when I went to the Pecos Wilderness in New Mexico. We went out to the mountains there, and it was like a rite of passage for you to go from, I believe it was from like middle school to upper school. So at the end of 8th grade, you had to go on this trip to, I don't know, it's kind of like becoming a man type of thing, right?
Mhm.
But it was 13 days out in the wilderness. You brought it was pretty significant the amount of supplies you needed: sleeping bag, tarp, rope, knife, canteen, different, eating utensils, and then you hauled in a bunch of food. And back then, we weren't hauling in like dehydrated food to save weight and stuff. It was like we were bringing in real heavy food and shit like that. So I remember all the packs were really heavy, and there was maybe a group of like 8, 9 kids to maybe 2 adults, and there was a lot of teams. There was maybe like 10 teams out there, and you're pretty separated from the other teams. But they had ham radios and stuff like that. And then one of the days out there, everybody did a solo. So basically, there was like a common camp, and then you would spend the night, and then basically the day after, they would take one by one, take everybody out individually to their own spot that was like away from everybody. And you had like a water bottle with like a liter of water, no food, no watch, no nothing. Like I think just a sleeping pad and maybe a tarp, and not even all your gear and stuff like that. And they were just like, yeah, you just need to be out here for 24 hours completely alone. And there was nothing.
Alone.
Yeah, yeah. And there was nothing to do, like literally nothing to do as far as, it's not like you had a cell phone, a watch, anything to do anything with. So
But
it was a very like solitude experience.
when you say alone, you really mean just you.
Yeah, 100%. I think that some of the adults from time to time were technically they came around and like observed to make sure people were still there and not
Hmm.
in trouble. I never saw. I was looking too. I was like trying to see if they, whenever they came to check on me or whatever, but I never saw anybody. So you're pretty damn isolated.
But
Um,
do you just like is it one person? Like, did you go by yourself? Did you go with adults and they just left you there?
yeah,
Did you go
yeah,
with the group
yeah.
and everybody was in a
No, no, no,
different place,
no,
or
no.
what?
Okay. Imagine 10 of us are out in the wilderness.
Uh huh.
We've been hiking for 7 days. Every day we basically hike some, set up a camp, spend the night there, wake up, eat breakfast, tear the camp down, and keep hiking
Yeah.
another, 10 kilometers. Do the same thing every single night. One of those nights when we get in, we do the same thing. When we wake up in the morning, the next day, one of the adults takes you one by one, says, okay, are you ready?
Mm.
You forward, you got your bag and your tarp? Yeah. Okay. And then they walk you out somewhere, I think they blindfold you or whatever. They walk you out somewhere and they just leave you, basically put you there. They're
Okay.
like, all right, you're here. See you later in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like a solitude type experience.
So you're not supposed to leave that area.
Yeah, not really. I mean, I don't think you're supposed to go very far from there. Yeah, you could probably do a little bit, but yeah, you're not supposed to be roaming around randomly. They don't want to lose you out in the wilderness, but guess
Huh.
you could.
Interesting.
You never really realize how long 24 hours is until you have absolutely nothing to do.
Dude, if I go 30 minutes with nothing to do, I'm like, where the fuck's my phone already?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, even back then, I mean, that was before cell phones were really popular too. And I remember when I got there, I was like, I was like, what the hell am I going to do for 24 hours? I was like,
yeah.
guess I can try to sleep. And then, but I mean, there's only so much sleeping
Yeah, you can do.
you can really do. And you kind of want to save it for the nighttime,
Mm-hmm.
because when you're out in the wilderness and you got nothing but like a tarp over your head, it's a little bit creepy at nighttime because, yeah, you just can't see anything past your
Yeah.
very immediate line of sight. So it could be like a wolf out there or something and you don't know. And you're like, fuck, man, like I'd rather be sleeping instead of thinking what's
Yeah.
out here in the darkness.
If I die, I'd
Yeah.
rather they bite my throat while I'm asleep.
But that was a really cool experience. Just the whole deal. And I kind of miss that sometimes. And I was telling you earlier, I was watching those videos, the Joe Robinette or like, primitive technology type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But those Joe Robinette videos are really cool because he goes out alone. Well, there's a few videos where he has like he goes out with one other person on some canoeing trips or whatever, and they film it. But it's really cool, to see a guy just go out in the wilderness, kind of like Les Stroud. Just bring some gear, find a place, start a fire. Build your shelter up, cook your food, catch your food, do whatever you need to do. I think it's pretty cool.
I mean, I'm sure that we are kind of. I mean, we evolved living like that, right? So there must be some pleasure, some kind of pleasure by either doing it
Yeah.
and or just watching it. If you're like a city person,
Yeah, I
that
think
doesn't go out too
I
much.
think when you're out there and you do it, it's the amount of satisfaction and kind of maybe maybe you like regain some faith in yourself where you're like, because if you've never done anything like that and you go out, I would imagine a lot of people nowadays in modern society just simply have no idea how to do basic things the most efficient way possible
Oh,
or in a
for
good way.
sure.
Like, how do I start a fire? You know what I mean? Like, you watch some of these guys that actually do it all the time and they make it seem so easy. And they're like,
Hmm.
because they've really thought about what you need to do and all that. And it's not incredibly difficult.
No, you just
Get
need to know how to do it.
yeah, well, yeah, and you do have to have some requirements depending on the conditions. Like if all the wood is wet and stuff like that, you need to find some sort of dry kindling, and you do need something to create an initial spark or a coal,
Hmm.
right? So, I mean, either that's like a bow drill fire, or maybe you've brought like one of those sparking fire starter
Hmm.
type metal rods that you can strike your knife against. Anyways, I kind of miss it. I wouldn't mind doing something like that again.
Do it, Ford. Why don't you do it?
I don't know.
Well, it's getting a bit cold now,
Yeah,
but
it's kind of cold. Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to start out doing it in a really cold weather, but
and would you like to do it by yourself, or would you like to have some
um,
company?
I think
Because
maybe one other person or like two or three people max. Maybe like three, four. I guess is like maximum. But yeah, one or two people. I think is. I think if you're just completely alone, unless you're really experienced, I feel like it would.
ooh, yeah, for me it would be
There's more potential for things to go wrong, right?
yeah.
If you're completely alone, especially if you have like let's say an axe or something, and maybe you accidentally you're chopping some wood and yeah, you fucking chop into your leg or whatever. I mean, that can cause a real problem if you're one person. Hey, you laugh, but I mean, that shit happens, you
Yeah,
know? I mean,
I know, Ford. It's just I like the things you worry about. You're not worrying about some kind of snake, venomous snake or anything. No, you're worried about
well, that
just being
too.
clumsy and axing your leg off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you never know what's going to happen until you're out there,
Yeah.
man.
Well, we know a bunch of people that you might be able to do that with. I was actually camping with one, two, three, four other people a couple of years ago.
Where'd you guys go? To Sweden?
No, 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 no. We went to Gribskov. It's just North Sjælland. It's like a big ass forest, I guess. And we
Okay.
just got kind of lost. I mean, not lost, but I was lost because I wasn't the one. I wasn't the one really tracking or making sure where we were going. So shortly into the woods, I was like, I have no fucking idea where I am anymore. But yeah, we just found a place there. Oh, it was very interesting because it was the first time I ever spent a night in the woods, and like the first, I don't know, 6 8 hours, it just all looks the same
Yeah.
because it's woods. It's just trees and
Leaves.
grass and leaves and maybe not grass, but yeah, just nature, forest. But I remember when we woke up, I started notice like there was a sense of familiarity. It's almost like, oh yeah, I know that tree is
Yeah.
there on the
Yeah.
left.
That's the tree where we
And
walk past 10 meters and go piss.
yeah,
Or yeah,
exactly. And
this tree is the one where we hang our food off of or
and
something
it,
like
it,
that.
it it was really interesting because I guess in a way it's a bit like if you go to a city that you've never been in. In the beginning, you're like, oh shit, okay, I have no idea where I am. But if you go to the center of Copenhagen, since you already know it, you know exactly where you are and you know where everything is.
Yeah.
But if you've never spent time in the woods like I did, like I hadn't, you don't really get the same feeling because in a city you have shops, you have streets, everything is kind of organized. Like you build the streets in a certain way, and you recognize those things because there's a shop or there's a tourist spot or something, and you start recognizing. When you're in the woods, you don't really have landmarks like that. I mean, I guess you do, but I never realized that a tree is not just a tree. Like you see this tree, and maybe it's a tree that has fallen,
Hmm.
and yeah, when you first see it, it's just, oh shit, okay, this is just a tree that fell some time ago.
Yeah. But I mean, that's,
And next time you pass through it, you're like, oh yeah, that's the tree. I know where I am.
yeah. Well, I mean, also, I mean, it's been pretty common historically for people to like, as they're going along the trail, they will break like a small branch and point it in a direction.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's
Yeah,
like every, I don't know, 10 meters, you like see another tree with a broken branch like that. Oh, okay, I'm going the right
yeah.
way. But,
I was hiking with a friend of mine once in Spain. Well, I mean, we were in Spain and we just went out hiking one morning. We didn't go there to hike. And I don't think I had ever hiked before. So when we were walking around, he every once in a while he was leaving small marks,
Yeah.
like either arrows with stones or just something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And I mean, I logically I understand the concept of leaving marks so you can find your way back, but it didn't really register for me the necessity of it
Mm-hmm.
until we actually decided to go back, and then we're just walking, trying to figure out the way we came from, and eventually, I don't know, we're like, oh shit, have we been here before? I have no fucking idea. And it's not that I panicked,
Yeah.
but I started feeling like,
Like, wow.
if
we
I
did,
was here by myself, maybe I'd start panicking a little bit, you know?
yeah.
And then we kept walking a little bit more, and then we saw one of those marks. And in my mind, it was like, oh, I'm not lost anymore. You know, it's almost like you're in this panic situation for some reason, and all of a sudden you see help.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that's exactly how I felt. And yeah,
There you go.
and I
Nothing
guess
to worry
I
about.
understood why you leave that and why you don't leave breadcrumbs like the old Grimm's.
Hansel and Gretel.
Yeah, you might end up in a gingerbread house.
Mm-hmm. Well,
That's my wood stories for it.
all right. Yeah, I don't
I-
have too many either. But
I'm such a city boy.
maybe next spring or summer we'll go out and do something. I don't want to go out in the cold weather, really, in the shitty fucking Scandinavian
Yeah,
winter.
you don't want to go if it rains, even
Yeah.
though you can always bring a big tarp. Like when we went, we had a big tarp
Yeah.
that we could have like 4 or 5 people underneath.
Yeah.
And I think it started drizzling at some point, and it was okay.
Yeah.
If it was heavy rain and wind, no, that would have been terrible.
Yeah.
But just with a bit of drizzle, and we had someone starting a fire, and yeah,
That's what you want?
I can't remember how I helped. I guess I helped eat.
Gather some firewood, maybe?
Yeah, I probably did. But then but then they start like, yeah, make sure it's not too wet or stuff like that. And I'm like, dude, I barely know how to see if something is. It's just wood for me, you know. Everything is wood. Like if
Yeah,
if
you
it's
got to make
wood,
sure it's not saturated with water, though.
yeah.
Bro.
But well, yeah, okay. I know if it's completely wet, but then I don't know if this is like something that burns quick or takes a long time to
Oh.
burn. Or I'm so
You're
fucking clueless.
You're overthinking it, Olaf.
I probably am, but I'm just clueless.
Yeah.
I would be the first one to die, you know, in a situation like that. Maybe not the first one, because at least I could probably
Can outrun some other person.
yeah, or
You don't have to outrun the bear. You just got to outrun the other guy.
other one. Yeah, I'm probably in better shape than some other people that I could either outrun or beat the shit out of someone smaller than me, and that I could just, if I really needed to eat.
The fucking
Yeah,
savage.
took a dark turn.
Yeah, well, there you go. Did you see the new Blade Runner?
Not yet,
Mm.
but have you?
I saw it last night.
And oh boy, yeah.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think-
wait. Have you seen the first one?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you like it?
Yeah, I think the first one was good.
Okay.
I think the new one, it was beautifully shot.
Don't spoil it, by the way.
No, I won't. It was beautifully shot, I think. The feeling in terms of, in that sense, in terms of the way it was shot, I think was really spot on. I think the biggest thing for me was the audio mix. Seriously, man.
Yeah.
Seriously. It was... maybe you'll notice something different. I've read similar comments online on like audio forums and stuff like that. The dialogue is super quiet, which means that they have to turn it up in the theater a lot for you to be able to hear the dialogue well. The other parts that are very synth heavy and Juno heavy and like all this old synth type shit are so loud that actually for like maybe 20% of the movie, I was covering my ears in the theater
Oh, wow.
because it was so
Okay.
loud. Yeah, I felt like actually I got hearing damage.
So it's like going to a concert.
Yeah, except maybe not as enjoyable. The movie was pretty good. The audio thing killed it for me. I don't know if the theater had it up way too high, but the thing was the dialogue parts were not very high. So I think it's not really a problem of the theater having it up too high. I think it really was a problem of the way they did the final mix for the audio, that basically to have the dialogue even be audible, You had to have it up to a certain point, which meant that the other loud parts just blow your eardrums
Hmm.
out. And it's not like a single loud noise happens, that kind of thing. It's like they have some giant tritone synth power sweep come in with like, every range in the spectrum,
Yeah.
and the volume goes from like 0 to 10,000, and then it stays there sustaining for like 5 minutes during an anxious scene. So it's like you can't even hear anything in the scene except just some loud synth the whole time growling.
Hmm.
So I will say that first for something that was supposed to be so highly touted about its like sound design, and they had also, I think they originally had a guy like Joachim something that was going to do the audio or the sound for it, to try to replicate the style of the first, or be more in line with the style of the first. He was let go. They didn't use his audio, and then they went to Hans Zimmer instead.
But
I gotta say that I've never really complained or felt like any Hans Zimmer like movie score
mhm.
was bad. Like I always thought he did a pretty good job. I mean, I never had anything really bad to say. And maybe it's not, maybe it wasn't directly his fault, but the mix on the audio was so fucking bad, in my opinion.
But Hans Zimmer is just a composer. He just makes the score,
Sure,
right? He's not.
exactly.
He's not
Maybe
mixing the audio.
maybe he's not the one determining the ultimate volume levels. I don't know, but whoever did the mix job,
A terrible job.
terrible fucking job, man.
And you say other people have complained
Yeah,
about
I saw
this.
some. I looked up because I remember complaining to my girlfriend about it, and I was like, maybe I'm just getting old. But she was actually covering her ears during like the same portions of the movie I was.
Hmm.
And some of those synths, depending on the resonance, that like where the resonance is set and kind of what portion of the spectrum the resonance is in, it can be really like almost painful and like really present. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And I think that was the biggest problem, is just the overall loudness levels at those really loud parts, combined with just a really like biting, aggressive synth with a lot of resonance or something. But yeah, I saw similar comments. People said that they had read some of the comments about the audio levels in the mix there, from some like audio mastering forums, and that they brought some concert like some earplugs ahead of
Wow.
time when they went in, and
Wow.
they were like, yeah, I actually needed them. But then when the dialogue came on, I had to take them out because the dialogue was so damn quiet, which
Well,
is what I experienced too.
yeah, that's the thing here in Denmark. You can at least read the Danish subtitles, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I can. I mean, I certainly
Yeah.
can now. No problem. But I mean, overall, I think the movie was good. I would have really liked to have seen it with a little bit, without having to worry about my hearing the whole
Yeah.
time. Because I'm also pretty sensitive about that. Once you lose hearing, you never get it back. And anytime you feel your ears are ringing,
Hmm.
you've already done permanent damage that you'll never get back. So I don't know. I don't want to be like an old deaf man being like, "What? Huh? What'd you say?"
By the time you become like that, they'll have a cure of some kind.
You say that. I don't know.
Come on, they have a cure for everything.
So do you have some earplugs?
If I not with me right now.
No. But when you go check it out, just bring them in case you need them. You might not need them.
Actually, that's a good idea.
I'm serious, man. If I'd have known, I would have brought them, and it probably would have made the experience more enjoyable. It's crazy that I'm even saying that this is like seems to be the new normal. But you remember I don't know if you remember when Transformers came out, and that was a huge fucking deal or something. But it seems like at around that time, they started using so much more low end and like bass and low mids in movie scores, with that whole like all that like Michael Bay super blurry action cam fighting scene, and then all those wah, 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 like all those like fucking synth buzzy bass transitions when the Transformers are kicking each other's ass and stuff. And it seems like over the past, I don't know, 5-10 years, so much more audio has been placed into the low end, in theaters, to like try to take advantage of, I guess, the subwoofers they have, or the fact that it creates a lot more impact or something. And I think they honestly overdo it a little bit. I think they could have cut a lot of the lows out of Blade Runner, and it would have been just fine.
There you go for it. It's not the first time I'm gonna say this, but maybe you should have just done the audio engineering yourself.
You damn right. You guys, if you're making another Blade Runner, just get with me. I'll do the mix for you.
Just get a clip from it, fix it, upload it on YouTube,
Yeah.
and just hope that people, yeah, this is right. You would have done such a better job. Please work in my movie for it.
Well, I did it for Joe.
I know.
Yeah. So those wilderness videos I was talking about earlier by Joe, It's spelled like a Robinette, but I think he's a Canadian guy, so it's probably like Robinet or something. But Joe Robinette, he makes these wilderness videos. Anyways, his last one was really good, but at one point in the video, the audio was just coming out of the left ear, and there was some people complaining in the comments like, "Come on, Joe, you got to fix your audio levels and this left ear only thing." And you know, I never do this kind of shit. I never really reach out. I never even left a comment on a YouTube video. I think in my whole life on my main account, I don't ever like or dislike videos. I never comment on anything. I just
Hmm.
watch them and I leave. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna download this video with YouTube DL. I'm gonna split out the audio. I'm gonna fix the audio for this guy, and I'm gonna email him and be like, "Hey, man, this is how your audio is supposed to sound, and here's how I did it, and blah blah blah." And he responded to me, man. He was like, "Thanks for that," and he was like, "I'm really having a little bit of trouble with part two, and you know, so I try to give him some other advice and help. It's pretty straightforward stuff, but then again, I've also done some audio stuff for like 15, 20 years. So it's really straightforward to me and it's not always obvious to people who aren't, you know what I mean? Like audio guys. And video editing too is a fucking pain in the ass in
What do you mean
general.
pain in the ass?
Well, what I mean is that if you're naive and you think, "Oh, cool, I see all these guys doing YouTube videos. I could make a YouTube channel."
Hmm.
And you don't realize how much work it goes into like editing those films and clips together and getting everything, I don't know, trimmed up and the cuts just right and mixing and kind of blending the audio and all that stuff. It's not trivial to put together a 5-minute video that people want to watch.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
I mean, I studied filmmaking,
Yeah. So
and
to you, you probably think it is kind of trivial. But what
well,
I'm getting at is,
yeah, editing I never had much of a problem with. It always came naturally to me. But audio, no, I never knew what the fuck I was doing with audio.
yeah,
I remember one of my colleagues in school. He had studied in Berkeley, the music
yeah,
school,
yeah.
and you could just tell that his short movies, the short movies we did in school, his were just like 1,000 times better, only because they sounded good.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't. It was. I mean, we use all the same equipment. He didn't have any magical editing skills or software or anything,
yeah,
and he didn't have like necessarily better actors or anything like that.
sure.
But the fact that I mean, he used compressors. He added ambient noise. He made sure that there was matching ambient when you have cuts and stuff like that. You know,
Yeah,
just made everything so smooth and pleasant to the ears
yeah.
that you just knew. Especially if you watch like 10 student movies in a row,
And
and
then you
you
saw
watch
that
like,
one.
yeah, you watch like 6 with crappy audio, and then all of a sudden you have this one with basically really crisp and good audio.
Yeah.
It just made it seem like, okay, this guy like all of a sudden
This film
nobody
is
else
better.
knows what they are doing, and this guy is the one that
Yeah.
has it, you know.
It's amazing how much that audio can make or break an actual video
It's true.
experience. It's I think in many ways it's more important. I mean, yeah, I think it ruined the experience for me for the Blade Runner movie because I think the Blade Runner movie is actually really good. I just went home with a sour taste in my mouth with that audio thing.
That doesn't sound like you for it.
No, I'm usually a pretty positive guy, you know.
Ford's movie reviews.
You know that wouldn't be very good. That would be more negative because
Anyway,
I was talking to my girlfriend about movies in the past 10 years, and I was like, you know what, name or no, I was like, name a movie, the last movie you saw in the theater that you thought was actually good within the past 5 years. And she couldn't name one initially. She was like, no, you have to give me a genre so then I can try to pick from those. I was like, you can't name one movie that you thought was really good over the past 5 years? Couldn't do it without a specific genre.
wait, but what does that mean? Does that mean that there's too many, so she has to limit the genre, or
No,
that?
no. I think it means that there's just really not enough that are really worth remembering. Like, what's the last movie, like, let's say AAA title type movie? You know, one of these big fucking
Hmm.
Miramax or, yeah, I don't know, these different film studios that put out all this garbage, Justice League and shit nowadays. When's the last time you saw a good movie?
Well, to be fair, I rarely go to the cinema,
Yeah,
but
me
I
either.
like all Tarantino movies. You know, I like the last one.
Okay.
I mean, was it
I thought
one of the greatest movies that I've ever seen? No, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I fell asleep during part of it.
Yeah, but I think that says more about you than about. I
I
don't know.
guess,
I
man.
don't know.
I honestly felt like all the characters in that movie were very forgettable.
Oh, I don't think all of them were forgettable
Yeah.
for sure. I didn't think that.
Samuel L. Jackson's trope of a character every time.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's just always the same. It's literally just always the same with a Tarantino flick. It's just Samuel L. Jackson and the same old trope, and then just surround him with some other characters.
But isn't that the same with everyone and with TV series and stuff like that? You know, it's like after you become like, I mean, everybody has their own style. So in this case, Tarantino, he certainly has his own style, right? And that's the common things you see within
I
all
guess.
these movies, even though these movies might be different. So he has a revenge flick, and he has like the grindhouse one,
Well,
with the cars.
what about somebody like David Fincher, where like his work is at least, for instance, you look at the stuff he's done with like House of Cards versus like the stuff like Fight Club. I mean, I don't know. Those don't feel the same in any way to me.
Well, maybe he's better. I don't know. I can't talk much because
I
I
mean,
haven't seen a lot of these
there's an
movies.
element of darkness, I guess, in both of them, or kind of a gritty, I don't know, some sort of a gritty feel to them, or some
Mhm.
dark edge to them, or something like that. But they didn't feel like identical in style. Whereas every Quentin Tarantino flick just feels like the same thing with different cast in a way to me.
Well, yeah,
I mean, that's probably oversimplifying it, but I
I,
mean,
I think it is, but I kind of get what you're getting at. I think, but is that really different than you saying, well, look at all the Charlie Chaplin movies, you know, like they're all the same. You have like this trend, or all the Woody Allen movies, where at least before Match Point, I think that's the one. Before this, all of them were like this neurotic Jewish family and Jewish guy just in New York, just screaming and complaining about all this shit and being misunderstood and intellectual and all that stuff.
so the Hateful Eight, that was the last good movie you saw in a cinema.
For like I said, I go to the cinema like once a year or
Yeah, I go
something.
pretty rarely too because everything sucks now.
The last movies I saw in the theater were Inception,
Okay.
Hateful Eight. Shit, what did I see before that? I can't even remember.
Inception was kind of cool.
Yeah, I guess so. I'm not much of a sci-fi guy.
No. Just from a visual perspective, the stuff they did I thought was super
Oh,
cool in that
sorry.
movie.
That's not. I wasn't thinking. I saw Inception as well, but that's not the one. The one I was thinking of. I was thinking the other one, the sci-fi movie as well.
Fairly recent?
Yeah.
Cyberpunk style?
No, 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 no. The one with the Matthew McConaughey
What was that one?
in the room that he kind of talks to himself through time and space and stuff like that. You know which one I'm talking about, right?
Interstellar or something?
Yes. Is that it? Yeah.
Interstellar?
Yeah, I guess so. Anyway, yeah, I guess those were the last three movies I've seen. So I don't know which year they came out, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's one per year.
I'm just saying, man, we were sitting through the previews and we saw this bullshit for like Justice League. It's like, let's take every single superhero movie or superhero comic book that's been put out in the past, century, and let's redo it, like 2.0, like,
For
new millennium version.
for you
And
want
then let's combine them all, even if the universes don't really necessarily make sense
Mhm.
or whatever. Let's just combine them all into some one big giant fucking superhero movie where every superhero is like on a team and they all have witty comedy remarks that are not even really funny. It makes me want to throw up a little bit, dude.
You want the solution for that?
Don't fucking watch them. I don't.
Stop watching AAA movies.
Yeah, well,
Just go to Dauma or some of those other like more art
but I mean,
house
every now and then
theaters.
you got one that comes out that's pretty highly regarded. Like Blade Runner came with good recommendations from a personal friend of ours, and like I said, I think the movie itself was decent. But that doesn't mean you're immune to having to see that AAA bullshit on the previews in the movie in the theater. It's also why I don't like going to the theater. I'm just such a negative Nancy about movies.
No shit, huh?
God damn it. I don't know, man.
Well,
I think I'm getting old. I think I'm
At least,
getting old.
at least I know for that it's only about movies. Everything else, you're a pretty positive and upbeat guy.
You're damn right. So speaking of upbeat, what the hell's going on in Copenhagen? I mean, it's
I don't think there's much going on.
Efterårsferie was this past week. Not a very good one as far as weather goes.
Yeah,
We already
we already
explored that
mentioned the
topic
weather.
deeply. I don't know.
There's a guy who was stabbed right next to where I live, and that was strange. I don't know much more about it because I think all I've seen was like 50-year-old guy was stabbed in Place, and the news came out at like 4 in the afternoon, so it probably happened during the day as well
There was like a 16-year-old kid that got killed this past week too in a shooting.
in Copenhagen.
Yeah. I think it
Okay,
was in I don't remember if it was in Oosterbro or Norbro or what, but it's a pretty big deal, man.
what?
And I don't think they caught the guy that did it. They were asking kids because I think they think the shooter was like in their young teens or something. It was a young kid that shot
Mm,
him probably. They were asking kids to come forward because the victim was young, and I think that probably the kids know something, but they're probably not talking. You know what I mean?
yeah. Why do we always talk about this shit?
Fuck, man, because it keeps happening, and it's about the only headline that some weeks it seems like the headlines are pretty much just somebody stabbed, somebody shot, Danish people trying to kick out more immigrants. That's like the recurring theme, and not much else. But we got something
Such
new this time. Look at that.
we do.
Look at that tail. Prostitution could be eradicated if prioritized, claims Danish trafficking victim support group.
That's bullshit.
Yeah, we know that this is a bad headline because we've actually read the article.
Even without reading the article, I
Yeah,
mean, you just know
just
prostitution will never be eradicated.
Think about this quote: "Prostitution could be eradicated."
It
End
never,
quote. No,
never.
It's the oldest business in the world, bro. You can't do that. But what the article is talking about, I think, is more that sex trafficking of
yeah.
people who are involved in prostitution could maybe be eradicated. But yeah, what's this guy? David Zepernick, the current chair of Safe and Alive Foundation, an organization working to assist victims of trafficking, is concerned the work of the women, who primarily come from Nigeria and Romania, poses a health risk to themselves and others. These women who are here illegally obviously have no health insurance, which, when you take their risky line of work into consideration, constitutes a health risk to themselves and everybody else. I guess they run a clinic. Since 2010, they've run the Tuesday clinic. And they've had like 250 to 300 consultations a year. I guess they give free health visits or something for foreign women that are involved in prostitution. But he's basically saying here that they should probably take a cue from the U.S. and step up their efforts against the traffickers themselves by, instead of treating the women who are involved in prostitution like criminals, by treating them as basically victims of more serious crime if they've been trafficked in and stuff like that. How do you feel about that? You live in an area which is kind of well known for prostitution, and you get kind of catcalled by women and stuff, right?
Well,
Isn't it that like
I kind of got just on the way here, you know.
Oh, did they try to give you an offer like an early morning?
It's always. I mean, if you pass close enough to them, I mean, if it's during the night, they'll even cross the fucking street chasing you.
Okay.
But today there was just two, I believe, Romanian prostitutes just talking to each other, and I just passed right next to them. So one of them was like, "Hello," but it happens all the time.
And you've got some Romanian that you can reply back with too.
That's true. But from what I heard, the Romanian that we know, like, could get us
Like a special
injured.
deal?
No, it could get us injured.
Oh, if you say it to the wrong person.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Like I think that shit's really, really aggressive.
Really inflammatory.
And especially, I don't know if you noticed this or not, but even if I know literally what I'm saying, if I speak in a language that I don't know, it doesn't really feel that I'm saying anything bad, you know? Like I can basically say "go fuck your mother" in some language that I don't speak, that I just know how to say that.
Yeah.
That it doesn't feel the same way as if I was actually saying that in English or in Portuguese or even in Danish.
Feels almost like a joke to you, but then to somebody hearing it, it's going to feel like real life.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So someone who that's the
target of
and someone who has that as a main language, mother tongue, whatever.
So they just say hi to you. They weren't very aggressive though.
No, it's the African ones that are usually more aggressive. Those are the ones that
The one that
grab and touch and
won't leave you
and
alone.
chase and all that. Yeah.
Ah, Jesus, man, that's annoying as fuck.
I mean, not it's still a minority, but it's the ones you remember, right? I mean, if you pass by 20 of them and 19 just say hello, hey, you want a blowjob, and then one of them just kind of grabs you by the arm and then chases you for like 50 meters, that's the one you're gonna remember.
Yeah.
And it happens, you know. I don't really.
But so I mean, it is. So what you're saying is you really think it is like Nigerian and Romanian? Is that the majority that you see out there, or what?
I wouldn't say Nigerian
Or
because
just African in
well,
general?
yeah, I'd say African first because I have a hard time distinguish, you know.
Sure.
Um, but and I don't know if they're actually from Nigeria, from Ghana, or whatever. But those are the two major ethnic groups. Let's say
Hmm.
it's Eastern Europeans, and is Romania Eastern Europe considered Eastern Europe or
I consider it
Baltic?
Eastern
Yeah,
European,
but
Balkan,
yeah,
whatever.
it's basically Romanians and Africans
Okay.
mostly, and those are the ones on the street. I actually I have a friend who ended up at some strip club or something like that on Istiklal a few weeks ago, just on a weekend. I guess it's the only place that was open at like 5 in the morning, and he actually said that all the prostitutes there were from Romania. Oh, sorry, not the prostitutes.
The
Oops,
strippers.
oops. Yeah, sorry. All the strippers there were Romanian. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's some kind of hierarchy. You know, I also know that there's definitely. Um, I guess you wouldn't call them prostitutes in this case. You'd call them escorts, you know, because they're just expensive prostitutes, and those tend to be like those are going to be Danish or maybe some other kind of European.
Like more Western European is what
Yeah,
you're getting at.
yeah, Western, I guess.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't.
I really don't have much experience with this. It's just what I read
Yeah,
on the
I don't
internet.
either. I mean, do you think it causes a problem? All that stuff going on down there in Istiklal? Like, does it?
What do you mean? What kind of stuff?
Well, I mean, the street prostitution. Well, maybe not even just the prostitution, but just the trafficking itself. I mean, do you feel like that those? I mean, when you walk by, do you see like a sense of despair in their eyes, or like, do you think their quality of life is good or not? I mean,
I'm sure their quality of life is not good. I mean, if someone is prostituting themselves on the street,
yeah,
I'm pretty sure they would rather be doing something else. It might they might have a better quality of life than a bunch of other people with really low paying jobs.
yeah. Well,
If they're okay with.
I mean, I also just wonder if if they came here themselves
Mhm.
because the money is better, even if it's maybe not the most desirable thing to do or whatever, it might still have been better than where they came from. Or if they really were like trafficked here by some pimp or whatever, that's like, look, you're coming with me and you're going to give me like 90% of all your money,
Yeah.
and I'm going to give you some money so you can buy some food and you're going to deal with it. I mean, I think that's way more serious for sure. And I think that, yeah, that kind of like human trafficking stuff, that is pretty serious deal. And I guess it's probably desirable to try to target that and address that.
Oh, that should definitely be
But
try
but
to be eradicated. Yeah.
but I think all these old concepts or these concepts, if you think about businesses that have basically been around since the beginning of time, for instance, like prostitution or other things that we consider illegal now in most places, like marijuana or whatever. Like these are things that humans have wanted to do or chosen to do for tens of thousands of years. You know, it's not like I guess it's just programmed in, right? So I wonder when you look at places that have a more legal or formalized prostitution, don't you think it's probably ultimately a net positive because you can't really ever ultimately stamp out and eradicate something like prostitution or cannabis or things that people want to do like that. You cannot fully eradicate them.
Yeah. I
So
definitely.
maybe the way forward is to have some sort of legalization and then framework for for like the health safety of workers, where they're required to be checked every week or 2 weeks or whatever it is to keep their health card. And
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know.
For sure. I definitely think it should be legalized. I mean,
Yeah.
first, I believe that anybody should do whatever the fuck they want, as long as they're not
Harming
other people or getting in the way of other people and things like, or of society or things
but
like
in
that.
in this case, you really can argue that there's a lot of potential harm to other people by doing that. You know what I mean?
Like
Because,
what?
well, for instance, if it's not legal and the girls are not required to
Oh, with the
go
disease.
through like sexual transmitted disease
Yeah.
checks and stuff like that, I mean, potentially could be spreading some really nasty shit to a lot of people.
For sure. Yeah.
Now, of course, the people that signed up for it going into it, I mean, I guess you can argue, well, they should have known, or they should have worn a condom. But I mean, there's things that even with a condom or whatever, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean?
Accidents happen for sure.
Well, and even not accidents. I mean, I think HPV and the stuff that causes like genital warts and all that. I mean, that can be transferred even with a condom. Just through the other skin that's still exposed. So yeah, I don't know. I just think it probably a better approach maybe be to look at the full picture, not just try to sting on sex trafficking, but try to look at the whole thing holistically and say maybe we should have some framework for either decriminalization of prostitution or move towards legalization and then more aggressively target the traffickers. And I mean, ultimately, you have to hit them in the pocketbook, right? You got to make it less economically viable. That's the only real way that you ever kind of stamp things out.
Yeah.
So that's all you
You're
got
right
about that, huh?
No, I mean, I agree. I think decriminalizing or legalizing or whatever you want to call it
Mm-hmm.
is the way to go. You're not gonna get rid of it. I personally don't think there's necessarily anything wrong with it.
No.
If I had a daughter, would I want her to do that? No, for sure not. But if someone genuinely wants, or if it's the only way that they can actually earn some money for some reason or the other,
then they should be able to do
and
it.
if they decide, well, maybe that's not what I really want to do, but I'd rather do this than starve, then sure, I think they should be able to do it.
There you go.
Trafficking, no. I mean, trafficking is a problem. I don't know how to get rid of it, though. Do you think if just with legalization, it would end?
No, not necessarily.
It could be like
No, I don't think legalization alone will prevent it, because then you'll still have guys that will bring girls in and say, look, I'm going to bring you here and I'm going to be your protector and blah blah blah, and you're going to get a cut of the money, but I'm going to get most of it. I mean, that's
like the mob.
Yeah, like pimping and basically like a racket, like prostitution racket that has been around for as long as, I guess, sex has been sold, right? So, but I think if you do empower and give more protections, like legal protections and a safe space to do it and things like that, I mean, certainly things probably go on in Amsterdam, no doubt about it. But at the same time, when like a lot of those women that have their own, I guess, like window or whatever, they have their own space, like they're pretty much like an independent business, like they're pretty much run their own shop. They don't need anybody else to do stuff for them. So at least from the few documentaries and things that I've seen on that. So who knows?
You might call them entrepreneurs for it.
Yeah, like a startup business.
Is it a startup if they've been doing it for a long time?
Well, they had to start it up at some point. There you go. That's the prostitution.
Prostitution can't be eradicated, but it can be
improved.
Improved, yeah, bettered.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to see how that progresses. Stuff like that. I mean, I don't even know if it's really a big priority for Danish politicians. Seems like the biggest thing recently is just all about immigration. That's like the hot button issue,
Yeah. I mean there is.
Oh, and then the hijab and niqab stuff they've been trying to ban, like the burqa ban. They're talking about banning that. Did we ever talk about that on the podcast?
I'm not sure. But
I mean, that's been in discussion for the past couple of weeks as well, as banning head coverings.
Wasn't it banned in Austria?
It got banned in Austria, and I think also somewhere else, I want to say. I don't remember. But it's, there's been some other countries going through with bans on that as well.
What do you think about that, Ford?
Um, I think it's kind of actually a practical thing. Like people probably shouldn't be able to just fully cover up their face in public. In order to, there's a lot of problems I think you can get into when people can't really be identified in public.
Hmm.
Somebody can just wear a mask, come up, hit somebody in the head with a bottle, and run off, and basically face no ramifications if they're not caught right then and right there. Whereas with like all the CCTV and stuff, at least if people are not wearing masks, if somebody does something wrong and can't be immediately apprehended, well, then you at least have a chance to figure out who it was if they weren't, if you have some video of their face and things like that.
So you're talking about I never know which one the exact names, but the ones where you only see the eyes
Yeah,
and
the
you don't
ones that
see
like
anything
really
else.
fully cover the face itself. Yeah, and you can only see the eyes. I don't remember if that's.
Because is that the one? I don't think that's the one that got banned. Is that the one that got banned in Austria?
I believe so.
Or is it all kinds of like
Yeah.
even those head scarves that show the whole face?
I think we can look it up because there was like a graphic about what is and is not banned and stuff like that. Um. Yeah, maybe this is it right here.
Or you can't have a clown nose.
Yeah, so these are the ones that are banned. It's the veil over the entire face, where it's like kind of a see-through veil, but you can't really see their face at all.
Mm.
It's the one with just the eyes showing, and then it's the one with just the eyes showing, but also an additional veil over the eyes.
So
So,
the one above is okay. Like if you only have your eyes showing, but because you have a scarf because it's really fucking cold, that's
mhm.
okay. Is that it?
Yeah, those actually say that's allowed, dependent on the weather. You know what I mean? Like well, that's what it says in this
Oh my
graphic here.
fucking
Like
god!
you can
That's
you can wear a hat and a scarf and cover basically your whole face, but obviously it has to be warranted. I know, I know, I know, I know.
that
You get into fine details
no
and you get
no
into all
no
that.
I don't. Yeah, and they also have like those Asian tourists that are always wearing
The things of the face masks,
the face masks.
but you can still see the eyes and the rest of the face pretty clearly though with
Yeah,
that
but you
on.
can see the eyes with that.
But
Fuck! I hate the fact that I don't know the name of that. Is that a hijab, burqa?
I think it's. Hold on, I'm not sure either. Is it
Niqab,
niqab? I thought it was a niqab. Yeah, it's the niqab.
niqab.
I think that's
Okay.
the primary one that they're really looking to ban. I mean, you can't. Yeah, you can't see much there.
Yeah, but if I have a how do you call it, a cap, like fuck off, my English, those winter caps just covering your head, and then if you have a scarf covering your nose, you still only see my eyes. You can't identify me just from that.
Yeah, but
So what's the difference?
that's in winter.
Yeah,
You
so
can
it's okay for them to wear this in the winter.
yeah, but you can argue that that's necessary in winter.
Well, you cannot.
Can you argue that
Nec-
covering your full head and face and everything in public is necessary in the summer?
I don't know. It's not about. I find necessity is such a vague term
I get
that
it.
it's I I don't like it, and I don't like the fact that you can dictate what people can or cannot wear.
I agree. Does it ever make you uncomfortable seeing somebody that has like basically is fully covered and you can't really see who they are, or like just from a personal level, like you don't really have any idea. You can't really size that person up. You can't really analyze
That's
who it is.
interesting. That's a good question.
Because that kind of fear
I
of the unknown, like you don't know who that is, or like you don't ever feel that.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be a bit of a complex answer because no, but I think that the no is in part one because I know, or at least I know that 99.9% of the cases it's a woman in there. So I definitely would like if I knew it was or if I felt it could be a man and a bigger man or bigger than me, like if I knew there was a risk of violence,
Hmm.
maybe I would feel more threatened or scared or something like that.
Yeah.
Also, I've never been in a place where, let's say, I would be surrounded by 50% or more of the people like that.
Hmm.
Maybe that would trigger some kind of, oof, where am I feelings, or,
Yeah.
oh, I don't feel, and it's not that all of a sudden just because there's more people like that I would feel more threatened. I think it would be more like, ooh, this is an unusual situation for me.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
forgot your original question.
Well, I was just saying, do you feel at all like, does it make you feel a certain kind of way if you see somebody in like a burqa or a
No, I
niqab or
mean,
something like that?
again, yeah,
Like in public, for instance, like sometimes I have like a bit of an internal maybe struggle or feeling where, of course, it makes me a little creeped out or just uncomfortable that that person is not showing who they are. You know what I mean?
hmm
Just like they feel the need to hide, which I guess isn't so bad in and of its own. But I guess the part that sometimes make me feel maybe uncomfortable or weird is that I wonder deep down if they are doing it because they really legitimately feel that they want to hide, or if they feel pressured by the society that I guess imposed it, or you know what I mean? Like I feel like, are they wearing that because they really want to, or are they wearing that because they feel like they have to?
yeah, but I don't think there should be a law
No, no.
that would tell you what you have to do in
Well,
that case.
well, I'm not saying that there has to be a
No,
law.
I'm not saying that you're saying that.
I think the law is more for the practical side, right? Like you should be able to identify people in public. People shouldn't be just going around in sheets and stuff like that where you can't tell who they are.
Is it really that different though if you have someone with a hoodie? Like when I came here today, basically I was covered everywhere except my hands and my face. So yeah, I mean, of course, you can see my face. If you know me, you can still recognize me. But well, first you wouldn't be able to see if I'm bald, if I have short hair, if I have
Yeah, but
long hair, if I'm blonde, if
with
I'm
the,
not.
with the new facial recognition stuff, none of that matters. Did you take a picture of you in a
Yeah.
in a? I swear, look, you take a picture of you in a hoodie and upload it to Facebook and see if it doesn't auto tag you. Now take a picture of you in a niqab and see if it works the same way. I don't know if it will or not, but I mean, surely you can also argue that at least being able to see some of the facial features allows you to be able to identify somebody.
Okay, for it, but that's a very specific case. If I want to go out of my apartment and not be recognized by anybody,
Hmm.
I know I can do it. I know I can, and I don't need to only to cover everything except my eyes. I can just do like a hoodie, like I did today. Of course, if I leave my apartment, maybe some people know that I live there and stuff like that. Let's just
Yeah.
assume if I go on the street, I can basically go around without being noticed. You just need to, I mean, if you always look at the ground, I mean, there's ways. You can have sunglasses and then you're only recognized by your nose and your mouth, or maybe your beard and your cheeks. And yeah, sure, you can recognize me by my fucking huge nose or whatever. But
Yeah.
that's, you know what I'm trying to
Yeah,
get at.
you're talking. We're getting on a slippery slope here when you start banning certain pieces of headgear and all that.
Again, I'm not saying there's no reason to do that. That's
Yeah.
completely wrong. It's just the idea of telling people what they can or cannot wear
Hmm. You don't like that.
makes me tingle in the wrong places. I know
I,
that's not the best choice of
yeah, yeah.
words.
I hear you though. I mean, I see. I see the points on both sides of the issue. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it is a complicated thing, and I don't feel like there's necessarily a right answer. But I also, yeah, I mean, I see the desire in saying, okay, we don't want people being members of the public that are just completely unidentifiable.
hmm I I was once in the Dubai airport
Hmm.
and I saw a couple, like the I can't remember what the guy was wearing, but the his wife, I presume it was his wife, was wearing the niqab, and they were eating at McDonald's,
Yeah,
and it was so difficult for like I really just wanted to stare
and watch her eat in the
and watch
niqab.
her eat, and I was trying to just look at it from the corner of my eye without it being too obvious. But I thought it was very interesting to see how she would eat and drink underneath all
The
that
veil.
that
Yeah, what
veil,
a
that
pain in the
covering.
ass, man. What a hassle. I mean, when I'm trying to eat a burger, I'm not trying to be slowed down by any extra
No, I
coverings.
don't think it would work on you very well for it.
I'm going for
I think you're like
the direct the direct path straight to the stomach.
yeah, you're more of a
I don't need it.
shorts and sandals kind of guy,
Yeah, I
not
don't need
a.
any interference in the path of the burger.
However, I know you like your privacy, right? For it,
Sure, I do like
so I
privacy.
can I
Yeah,
can im- I can imagine that
I
if
I,
you were
I
out and you're like,
I
I
don't
don't
want to
I
be
don't want
identified. Yeah.
yeah, I don't want people to know that I'm buying the third piece of chocolate today, so I
Yeah.
want to wear something different.
I get it. I mean, I totally get it. There's that's why I really haven't kind of formulated in my own mind like a final position on it, because I just think that on this particular issue, I don't know if you can really say that. For me, I don't know if I can come up with a complete final position and say like, okay, it should just be this way, completely full stop. And so maybe in that sense, if you can't really come up with that position, maybe you shouldn't issue the ban. You know,
I
maybe
I
you should just leave it how it is.
I think another thing that annoys me a little bit is that, I mean, we all know that they're not really banning this because, oh, we feel threatened about this. It's a backlash
It's an anti-Muslim thing.
against Muslims, against terrorism, against whatever the
Hmm.
today's big topic is, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's been like this forever. I mean, yeah, I guess in Europe, like 50 years ago, there was few, if barely any, Muslims, and there's a lot more nowadays, or at least people who would
Openly.
dress up like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, I remember I know it's not the same thing, but even in Portugal, it's common for widows, like the old widows, like my great grandmother. They always wear black, and they always cover everything. I mean, they don't cover the whole face, but they basically have a headscarf as well. And it's a Catholic country, you know. I guess it's just some kind of traditional garment.
Like a modesty thing or something.
I think it's just a sign of being a widow or something like that. I don't know.
Oh, okay. Fair enough.
Mm.
Well, what else we got, Dolph?
What else do we have for?
I'm
We have
looking.
containers.
I'm looking. Yeah, we got containers.
We have
Let's
containers
see.
for students.
Let's talk about those containers.
I thought it was such a cool idea.
Yeah.
It's basically
Um.
these construction containers, or containers for that, like shipping containers that are just turned into small houses.
Yeah. Container villages get the green light. New rules mean that container housing can be erected on unused municipal land for 10 years instead of just 3. Um. Let's see. Old shipping containers can easily be retrofitted to create temporary homes. Floating in Copenhagen Harbor is one example. The Urban Rigger by design firm Big, that's the Bjarne Ingels group, I think, consists of 6 containers welded into a circular 2-story mini village. Huh.
So they're doing that for basically to have more affordable housing, right?
Well, yeah, Copenhagen Village 1 will house around 170 students when fully occupied this spring. The 20 square meter homes will cost students around 4,000 crowns a month. Although they will have their own kitchens and living spaces, students will have to share a shower and toilet with one other person.
I wonder why it's only for students.
Um,
I'd live in a place like that. I think at least
if
I'd
you were a
try.
student,
I
maybe,
would
right?
try. I tried to live. Like I would have no problem trying it out for a
Well,
few months.
maybe it's only for students because that was the only way they were able to get the government to sign off on it. I mean, there's a huge problem for students trying to find
Yeah.
places like rooms and stuff like that because first off, it's too expensive. Like often they don't have quite the budget for it, and man, it's so expensive. Even 4,000 crowns for a 20 square meter room, basically.
Yeah, but that's the Copenhagen prices.
I
You
mean,
rent a
that's
room for 4,000 crowns.
yeah, it's like $700-800 for like a room.
I mean, we had a friend that was in a dorm
Dude,
next to Northport, and he was paying more than that. He was paying like 6,000.
yeah, dude, in Houston, you can get your own like 2-bedroom apartment for like $700, and you can get one for even cheaper, like $400-500, depending on where you want to go and where you want to live.
Yeah, but it's supply and demand for it. Nobody
Yeah,
wants to live there.
in Houston, yeah, I know.
That's why you're here,
Yeah, that's
and
why
you're
I'm
paying.
here.
How much more are you paying than that?
Oh,
man?
I'm paying a lot. I'm paying a lot. Way too
Yeah.
much.
Well, you can also go live in the woods for very, very cheap. You know.
Yeah, maybe I should consider that. I don't know if I'm gonna have a way to power my computer though.
Solar panels.
Yeah, but
Not in Denmark.
well, not in the winter. It's dark for like 20 hours a day. Oh boy, it's been getting slowly kind of darker and darker.
Yeah, I don't think it's that slow, to be honest.
Oh, it's coming soon. It's gonna be soon. It'll be that full. 4 hours of light only, and not even real light. It'll be just like dark gray for 4 hours during the day, man.
Isn't it in December
The worst, like the shortest
the
light.
shortest day?
I
Yeah,
think so, something like that, or late December, January, maybe. I don't remember.
I think it's late December.
Oh man, that's the worst.
So that's what 2 months away.
Not too long now.
It's only gonna get shorter for it.
How's the lighting situation in a fucking container? Doesn't look very bright in there.
Well, if you have electricity, you can have some. I mean, you don't have much
Talking
lights
about
there.
natural light, bro.
No, yeah. I mean, you have big doors, and all those doors are glass.
I wonder how the acoustic is in it too. I bet it's like a big echo chamber in there. It's probably not very good to record a podcast in.
Yeah, I haven't thought about it. Maybe you get your own style, you know?
Or some sound dampening. Because I mean, surely they have to put some insulation, to keep it warm in there.
Yeah.
I'm just curious how exactly they retrofit it, because it doesn't say much in this article about what they've done to retrofit them and stuff like that. I would be interested in that,
Don't they have a website?
or seeing the inside of one.
You
I don't
might be
know.
able to go on a website and see the inside of one.
Let's see.
I always like the concept of tiny houses, you know?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And especially those I saw a video recently, some girl showing her apartment. She lives in Japan, and she had an 8 square meter apartment.
Okay.
She had an 8 square meter apartment where if she like it was basically just a hall.
Mm-hmm.
So she wasn't able to stretch to open her arms wide because it would be blocked by both walls. She would need to turn like sideways, and then she should be able to. And the it was like there was some stairs there, so the bedroom or the bed was on a level above. But I just like, I mean, I wouldn't want to live there because it's too fucking tiny if it's 8 square meters.
Yeah.
But I really like the concept of optimized space and small spaces,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, just everything being kind of tidy and minimalistic and stuff
Like
like
a
that.
cozy place as well too.
Yeah, I mean, not 8 square meters. Eight's too much.
No,
But for example,
but
for
this
me
this
to
looks pretty nice. Some of these right here. I mean, this looks nice.
but oh, is that one of them?
Yeah,
Container Village by
but
CPH
I mean, I guess that's
Containers.
your bed right there.
Oh, that looks really fucking nice.
Yeah, I mean, some of these look pretty nice, especially the ones that are trimmed in wood like this. You know?
But is that just one? Okay,
Yeah, I
I
guess
mean,
this is a part of one container here. I mean, here's a kitchen. I mean, that looks better than my apartment.
that looks like a very nice kitchen.
Yeah,
It's a bit,
but then if you look at some of these other ones, for instance, like this one, you can see they don't have any isolation. So this thing is going to be like an
no,
echo
yeah.
chamber, and who knows how warm it's going to stay. But yeah, I don't know. I I'm not sure. These wooden ones look nice though. That's for sure.
So they just basically put all that wood inside.
I guess
They
so.
just cover the walls and stuff with wood and the
Yeah,
floor.
yeah, I guess
That
so.
looks really nice,
Yeah,
and it looks really bright, which is
yeah. I think also probably this is a wide angle photo, so it probably looks
yeah,
a little more open than it.
yeah.
Probably looks bigger than it is.
hmm
It's probably ideal conditions with lighting outside and stuff too. So you might go in here and feel like it's a dungeon in real life. You know,
It's like those
you can never trust those
Airbnbs.
photos. Yeah,
I've stayed at a couple of
You-
Airbnbs that you look at them and like, oh, this looks nice.
yeah.
Then you get there and it's like, what the fuck
Oh,
did
I remember the difference when we were selling our house. Our house was huge too, but when we were selling our house, we took some initial photos ourselves. That we took them on a proper DSLR and all that. Like I felt like I did an okay job. But when we had the professional guy come in with a wide
Mhm.
angle lens and all his little tricks and stuff like that, man, his photos look like a million times better.
What tricks did he use?
I pretty much just wide angle everything and make everything, shoot it from a position which makes everything look as open and airy and spacious as possible. Especially the places that normally look small, like in the bathrooms and stuff where it can look a little more crowded and cramped.
Mhm.
That wide angle lens
It's
makes
like
it
a
look huge.
15 millimeter lens.
Yeah, exactly. Like 15 or 17 millimeters, something like that, and just makes it look massive, you know?
Wow. Yeah.
And the thing is, I know about that trick. So when I look at pictures like this, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, okay, yeah, you can tell this is shot with wide
Oh
angle.
no, yeah, but
You know
you
what I mean?
still
But you still kind of get fooled in a way. And people that don't really think about that, it's like such an obvious tactic to try
Yeah.
to sell something that's yeah, I don't know. I think it's interesting. Anyways, these containers are good. I mean, if it can help at all with the shortage of student housing, I think it's a positive thing. There's so many students coming every year. What is it, late August or around August or something, they start coming in?
I would assume so. I don't know. I think classes
And
start in September. Oh,
then
no,
you
actually, I don't know. In Portugal, they start in September. I don't know when they start
yeah,
here.
but I think if people are international students, they often try to kinda come here and get settled a little bit early, like maybe
Yeah,
and then
it's
you start seeing like this the Copenhagen subreddit posts, people trying to find a place and rooms and all that.
I don't even know how it would be, because maybe I'm sure a bunch of people they just come here,
Mhm.
kind of assuming like, okay, I'll just be there. I'll be in a hotel or a hostel for a week
Yeah.
max until I find something. Oh, but it's not guaranteed that you're gonna find something in a week. It's
Nope.
especially when you're a student and you're in a
A
you have
budget
a budget
constraint. Yeah.
and
I mean, hell, 4,000 crowns a month for a place is not cheap either. I can't believe that that's like
it's cheap here.
yeah, I still it's just it's crazy to me because just because I know how much you can get other places for that. I mean,
Well, yeah, but
I know you can't
yeah,
compare
you
apples to
can
oranges.
go to fucking Thailand
I know.
or some Indonesia and
I get it.
4,000 krona a month you
I
can
get it.
or 4,000 krona you can live for like 3 months,
I get it.
including food and
They need some cheaper housing around here, man.
prostitutes. I don't know how
So
much a prostitute is in Indonesia or anywhere else for that matter.
what else we got? Taking a look. This is not. They
Oh,
found
there
the
you just wanted
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah.
talk about
No,
this,
I
didn't you?
knew I
For
wanted to talk about this.
yeah,
We talked about that stolen tourist bus
that was a
a
long time ago.
couple months ago at least.
Yeah, that was a long time
And
ago.
people were so worried. This was a little bit after some of the bus or truck attacks in well, I guess the one in Nice happened quite some time ago. So it wasn't really on the tail end of that. But then wasn't there also some stuff in Spain as well? Some truck attack. I mean, there's been a few truck attacks. There was one in
There
Sweden.
was something recently
In Sweden.
in Spain in Barcelona, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, I
on
think
that
so. Oh
on
yeah,
like a pedestrian street.
yeah, that's right.
But I don't know if it was a buzz or not.
Anyways, there was a bus, like a tourist bus, stolen here in Copenhagen, and I think people were really freaking out because they were worried it was going to be used in some attack. Well, they caught the guy. They found the bus north of Copenhagen, arrested a Serbian national, 60-year-old guy.
60.
Yeah, maybe that's his thing. He just walks up and looks like the bus driver, so he just drives off with it. They're like, "Yeah, you could be the bus driver." Okay, sounds good.
Wow.
They arrested him. It was the Department of Organized Crime at Copenhagen Police that arrested him. They're holding him provisionally on remand for 15 days. He was arrested at his home in Valby and is believed to be responsible for stealing a number of buses, which are then shifted abroad. And the police are looking for a few other perpetrators
Why do you think he stole it for it?
for money.
Then why didn't he just drive away from the fucking country?
Well, if people are on the lookout for a particular bus that looks like a certain thing with a number plate, I mean, probably driving right out of the country isn't your first choice.
But you don't have. I mean, you can just cross the fucking border to Germany without.
No, there's border controls in place now.
There is.
Yeah.
In Germany.
Yeah. Well, they extended it here in Denmark too for 6 months. They have like
From Jutland to Germany. I'm not.
yeah,
I'm not talking.
yeah. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. I mean, when I've taken the train last time, there was border controls in place.
That's different. That's different.
Well, why is that different?
Because it's on the train. Like on the train, they have put there. But I mean, just on the border from Jutland to Germany, it's a long fucking border, And they never have border control there. Like in the train, there's one place that they need to put border
Okay.
control, which is when you board the train.
Okay, but it doesn't necessarily just have to be at the border. If you're trying to drive this bus all the way down there, there's going to be cameras along the freeways the whole way down. And surely, if they're on the lookout for a certain license plate or type of vehicle, I mean, I would imagine Denmark has a system that if you're looking for a red Audi RS8 with number plate, 24Z428, you're not going to make it all the way from north of Copenhagen to out of the country before one camera sees you, let
Yeah.
alone when you're driving an enormous bus that they're looking for
That's a
because
good
they think
point
it
for
could
it.
be involved in a terror attack.
That's a good point.
So it's not just the border you have to get out of, it's the whole country. So maybe
Just paint the bus.
well, maybe he freaked out when he stole it. Remember, there was a lot of attention to it because people thought it could be used in like in a terrorist attack.
Mhm.
And maybe the past buses that he's been involved in stealing, if that's true, maybe there wasn't that big of a, you know what I mean? Like nobody really cared, so he was just able to get him out of the country easier.
Yeah.
So
How would you? I mean, you can't even like if you wanted to
drive it
give
to.
like a new paint job on the buzz to just
Mhm.
make it seem something else than the buzz it was, the stolen buzz. What the fuck would you paint there? You know, because it's not like you can't just paint it all blue and pretend that
I don't know.
that's
I don't know. He
a legit buzz.
probably just drives it out of the country, takes it to Eastern Europe, and sells it for half the money that it's worth. I mean, that's what I would do if I stole a bus in Denmark. I mean, we're looking at prices of these things. They're like, seriously, man. I
That's true.
told you, it's
Yeah.
like 200,000-300,000 euros minimum for one of these buses, like a passenger bus like this. That's a substantial chunk of change. I mean, if you could make 100,000, let's say the bus is worth 300K, you sell it for a third of its value, or even less, like 80,000 or 100,000 euros. You can live for a year or more easily on that money.
Oh, I mean, if it's
One
in
bus.
Eastern Europe, you can probably live for like 10 fucking years or
Yeah,
something.
I'm just saying. I mean, but the mystery has been solved.
It's a pretty underwhelming
No terrorists.
resolution.
Just the Serbian.
Just a Serbian.
That's right.
I'd like to have a maybe not a buzz. Maybe a buzz is too big.
This is
But
an ugly paint job on this bus. Look at this ugly
that
shit.
is a terrible. Oh
Who
well,
did-
I don't know.
Looks like a child. They just like, oh, we can't afford somebody to paint this bus. Like, let's just get our kids to draw something.
Maybe
on it.
that's the point for it. Maybe that's what they're trying to get
Ugh.
across. That they're just very jovial and carefree. Belgian company.
Yeah. I don't know. They could have done better on this one. That's for sure.
If I had a buzz, I mean, you could basically
Tour the
you
world.
had well, if you had a buzz, you could change it into a
Into a camper,
living,
like one of these
yeah.
containers.
That's
But I
like
mean,
a
that's an
big-ass
American
fucking,
thing, dude. RV.
Yeah, but that's an RV. It's not a fucking buzz.
It
A
is,
buzz is like twice the
dude,
size or more.
That's not true. I mean, an RV is ultimately a bus. Now, they come in various sizes. They make RVs that are smaller than a traditional passenger bus. But I mean, you can get an RV all the way up to a real bus size, even like almost a double wide. So all those guys that go on tour, all those band
hmm
buses or tour buses or
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, that's basically just a glorified RV.
There was this.
Do you think you could do it? Could you live in an RV for like a long period of time?
I don't know.
Like traveling around the country 10 years, just
I would
living in a
definitely.
bus?
Oh, okay. I mean that's different. I would definitely be willing to try it.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. It's a tiny house. I mean, it's not like you need to be driving it. You
On
can just
wheels,
live there.
bro. It's on wheels. You can move it
Oh.
around. If
Yeah,
they-
which is kind of cool.
I mean, yeah, if things aren't looking up for you where you're at right now, you could just say, you know,
Which
I'm
is
gonna
kind of
try
cool.
my luck somewhere else.
I mean, if you work online, if you have like your own business and you just work online, you just do everything online, you can basically live here and just go around. I'm sure there's some laws that prevent that, like some EU laws that you might need to get around.
Fucking EU.
I think it's more like a world thing for it. I don't know if
Yeah.
you can just drive around and work anywhere you please.
Maybe not.
I don't know how.
Although
it
you
works.
could go driving around in a boat. You could sail around. And once you're in international waters,
then you're good to go.
well, I mean, yeah, but the only thing is you can't stay in international waters forever, right? You're going to need food at some point. So
Sure,
you're
but
going to have to dock and check your
let's-
passport and go through customs in certain places. But yeah, I mean,
No, okay, that's
there's people, I mean, if you look at the SV Delos channel, that was a guy that used to work for Microsoft, and he bought a yacht and went sailing, and he worked like part-time from the yacht. He was a software developer, so he would like check out the software repo, like check out the Git repo or something, work remotely, you know, offline, and then just whenever he had internet, he would commit his code and stuff, and he got paid. He basically worked remotely on a boat sailing around the world for a while.
So let's imagine if you work online, if you have a lifestyle like that, like
Mhm.
you just have a boat
Yeah.
and you get some freelance jobs online
Yeah.
and you always get paid in Bitcoin.
Yeah.
you're not really tied to any country. I mean, as long as you have like your passport from your country of birth or whatever. But I mean, you're not. If
Yeah,
someone pays you in Bitcoin,
but that doesn't
which
mean,
country are you going to pay taxes on for your
well,
earnings?
you'll probably pay taxes in the country where
You're born.
your country, no, your company is located. I mean, just because you're paid in Bitcoin is no different than if you're paid in cash. I mean, it's still technically to the governments of the world a currency, or maybe they don't officially recognize it as a currency yet, but they're going to try to tax you on it. So, I mean, sure, you could try to argue that maybe you'll get away with it because it's harder to track, like if somebody paid you in cash, but that doesn't mean it's legal for you to not pay taxes on it.
No, no. Well, I'm just raising questions.
Yeah, yeah, but I mean, surely you would have some sort of company, right? Like,
Why?
because most places it's a liability. Like, for instance, in the U.S., if you just directly take payments from people, and say something goes wrong, you can be sued, and they can sue you for all the money that you have, not even just related to the business. Like they can take your home, your boat,
Yeah.
whatever. So people make like a limited liability company where they're like, okay, I own this company. It's literally just
Hmm.
me, but this is like a shell company for me so that if something goes wrong, if I go bankrupt, I don't lose everything. If I get sued, I only lose what's related to the business, stuff like that.
Hmm.
And I mean, sometimes you need a separate company thing to be able to take payments. I mean, of course, with Bitcoin, that's not really a problem, but
So if you get paid in Bitcoin and if all your work is online, you can also just do it anonymously.
yeah, you could. You could.
Hmm.
But then you're going to have to convert from Bitcoin to cash at some point because, I mean, it's not, you know, you
Yeah.
might go to Honduras and stuff and not be able to buy like a
Wasn't there a
2-liter Coke with a
wasn't there
fraction of
a
Bitcoin.
some ATM or something like that here in Copenhagen
Yeah,
that you
there's
could
ATMs. There's ATMs. Yeah.
withdraw money from Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think there's some monetary limits. I'm pretty sure they have a camera on them. I think some of them ask for your cell phone
Well, you
number or
just
some
go
other
there
stuff.
with a
A burqa?
niqab.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just go there with a niqab, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there's also local Bitcoins and stuff. You can always, I think there's some, you know, you can go trade with somebody face to face, right? If you trust that.
Yeah.
But there are Bitcoins, like ATMs and stuff like that. I think it's cool. Hell, I think Bitcoin hit $6,000 the other day. What is it at right now? Let's take a look. It's 5,000 euros. 5,005 euros.
5,000 euros.
How much is it in dollars? $5,877. Look at that, Dolph.
Yeah.
You could have been a millionaire.
Well, everybody could. That's what I tell myself, just so I don't feel too bad
Hmm.
that I first heard about Bitcoin in 2010, and
And now look at you.
yeah. Let's change the subject before I'll get depressed.
Don't get depressed, man. So you're gonna wait for Blade Runner to come out on like a release. You're not gonna watch it in the theater, are you?
I actually got invited to watch it.
Oh, then you should go. Just bring some earplugs.
Yeah, I need to remember that. So
Those ones we got in Amsterdam are pretty good. Like I still have those, dude. I wear those like anytime we're going out to an event where it's loud as shit. I always bring those.
I have like 3 or 4 different pairs of earplugs that I
Mm.
just got for different occasions, and then I go somewhere where I like a concert, and then I forget to
pick
bring
some
them,
up.
so I just buy new ones. And
Yeah, but those ones we got in Amsterdam, I thought were my favorite because they were so comfortable, and they also still had a small hole in the ear, so they dampened a lot, but they weren't like the earplugs where it just completely blocks off
yeah,
everything.
yeah.
It's like it blocks off 90% of stuff, but you can still hear the music.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And they're comfortable as hell. And the little carrying case they gave, it's like a tiny little Kinder Egg ball. Those are the best ones I've ever had as far as like cheapish earplugs that I just bought at some venue. Because most of them just give you those foam crappy ones, you know?
Well, those are the cheapest ones.
I know, but they're also the crappiest ones because you can't really hear anything. They don't have like, they're not like an attenuator as far as like, they let you. Don't start laughing. God damn it. Do I really?
I like the
know,
word attenuator for
yeah,
it. I find it funny.
I bet you do. You're over here laughing because you
I
think
like the
I'm
word
an audio
attenuator.
snob,
No,
audiophile.
hardly.
All right.
Well, if this podcast sounds good for it, it's not because of me.
Yeah, maybe not. Well, it is partially because of you. You got the voice. I mean, that's the most important thing. And then now you bought a good mic,
Yeah, but
and you bought a nice preamp for it.
an okay preamp.
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's all right.
Yeah. I'm trying to praise you for it. Come on.
It's fine. I'll take it. What else we got,
There
man?
you go. I don't know. Do we have...
Not a whole lot. I mean, I think there was a couple more articles, but none of them were really that exciting.
There was nothing really interesting
The guy
today.
Thomas Dambo, the guy that made all those wooden giant sculptures. You remember we talked about that?
Yeah.
Apparently, he is a little. I guess he was a little upset because some people vandalized his big giant wooden statues, but instead of being really angry and wanting to like seek them out, he's actually kind of reached out and said, "Hey, I want to give you guys like a graffiti or a street art workshop because basically your work sucks." I guess is kind of the unspoken hit.
It's pretty fucking smart because basically it's free publicity, you know?
Yeah.
Like he's not gonna. I'm sure they're not gonna come and just say, "Yes, okay, I want that. Give us the free workshop." Even if they do, I mean, it's publicity. You know, they're talking about him again. People who missed the thing in the beginning are gonna hear about it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should do. For we should just go talk shit about other podcasts and say and say, "Hey, we can help you."
We'll give you a workshop on how to do a podcast. I don't know if we're in the position to do that yet.
Well,
We don't even have a jingle yet.
no, we need to.
We need a jingle.
We talked about it last week.
It's
We
in
need
the, it's
to-
in the works
It's in the works. I hope that by episode 30
at the latest.
we'll
We'll have a jingle,
yeah,
little intro jingle.
I think so.
Not long.
Something-
I don't want something obnoxious.
No,
5,
no.
10, 15 seconds maximum.
Yeah,
Clean intro.
somehow related to Denmark or Copenhagen.
Then our sultry
hope.
voices coming on.
Sultry.
Yeah.
What's sultry?
Kind of like sexy, but
Oh,
I don't know. Let's see the official definition of sultry.
you think you have a sexy voice for it? Are you not one
I
of
don't
those?
know.
Are you not one of
Sultry.
those?
Sultry, hot and humid. Okay, that's talking of the air or weather, especially of a woman or her behavior, displaying or suggesting a strongly sexual nature.
Oh, so are you
Mm.
saying our voices sound female?
Well, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying it's like a.
Are you
maybe
not one of those people that hates listening to your own
hot,
voice?
hot with passion or anger, exciting or capable of exciting strong sexual desire?
Oh,
Do I
Oh.
hate my own voice? Yeah, in a way. When I grew up, when I first heard my voice in a microphone for some little school project when I was like 7 years old or something, I hated my voice so much. I literally wanted to. I don't know. You just hear it and you just like delete that. Please just erase that from history. Nowadays, I think I've done enough recording to where I don't necessarily hate it. I am still hypercritical of it, and I probably notice things way more than other people do.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
And I also think it's probably worse than other people might think it is. Because people tell me I have a pretty good voice for radio or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're always your own worst critic, right?
Yeah. So in that sense, I guess you could say yes. I kind of hate my own voice, but not as much as I did when I first heard it for the first time. The more and more that you do it and you hear it, I think the more comfortable you get with it.
Yeah, I guess you just get used to it. Yeah, I mean, you hear your own voice every time you speak.
But in a different way.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is,
Yeah.
it doesn't actually. You're not hearing it
The way other
same
people
thing.
do.
The same thing other people are, and I guess that's where
Where the hate comes in.
the dissonance, not like more like some kind of cognitive dissonance thing when it comes from.
Yeah, it's because you hear it first. You hear it with less delay than anybody else hears it, and you hear it without
And it
reverb.
resonates differently.
Yeah.
I still haven't.
You feel
gotten
like
used to it.
you're more bassy in your own head.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk really low,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, how much bass is this right here,
I
man?
don't even know.
Let me turn up the EQ a little bit, man. No. But I think that's the biggest thing that most people complain, at least for a man. You hear your own voice and you're like, damn, I don't sound bassy enough. Like I sound
Yeah.
way higher pitched than I think I sound.
Yeah.
And I think that's the first impression most people have when they hear themselves for the first time or, recorded on a good mic and stuff like that. They're like, do I really fucking sound like that? God, I sound like a whiny little bitch.
I haven't gotten used to the way I sound yet. I mean, I don't listen to every podcast, but
No, I don't listen to everyone either. I did when we first started. I listened to the whole thing every time, like basically the day or two after we were done.
Hmm.
I don't really do that anymore. It takes a lot of time. It's like 1.5 hours each one. You got to record the whole thing,
It's
edit it,
it's it's
upload
it's
it, and
it's
then listen to it again.
it's not just that. It's a bit like if you're a filmmaker, you're watching your own movies, I guess.
You know, I always wondered about that. Dude, people who do movies, who like actors and stuff who do movies, a lot of times they don't even ever watch the finished movie.
Yeah, which to be honest, I completely
I
understand
do
it.
too now that like now with the podcast, like I totally understand, man. Cause you probably look at it and you're like cringing. You're like, oh, is that really me? Like, is that the cut they chose to,
Hmm.
like, oh, I look goofy there, like really hypercritical. Or, yeah, they're just like, whatever, I did it. I don't need to watch the whole thing again.
I think the with movies, it might be, at least I see it a bit different because let's say you make 2 movies a year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, then you're kind of spending 4 hours a year to watch yourself. If we record a podcast every week, like we're spending a lot more time
Yeah.
listening to
And we listen
or
to each
check.
other. I mean, we got our headphones on right now. I can hear you right now. I'm listening to the podcast right now while I'm doing it.
That is true for it. I haven't. Yeah, and well, yeah. I guess in this case, it would be me listening to my own voice and trying to improve my own, let's say, performance.
Mm-hmm.
Story of my life, improving my own performance for
Yeah. Well, I don't have too much else for today, and I think we're at about
the
that
sweet
time.
spot.
When are we going to schedule that time to work on a jingle?
I don't know.
Let's talk about it
Yeah, offline.
offline. All right. Well, we will call it here, and hope everybody has had a good Efterårsferie.
Yeah,
And
buy some Bitcoin. It's gonna go up.
yeah, maybe buy some Bitcoin.
Don't blame me if it doesn't, though.
My Danish exams are coming up for my finishing module 3. That's next week for me.
Exciting for it.
Well,
Are you
actually,
confident?
uh, dude, if I fail, everybody in my class should fail. So
So you're saying you're the best one in your class?
I'm one of the top 2 people in the class as far as, yeah, I think so. A lot of the people don't do the homework. They don't really. It just seems like they're showing up just to show up. Like they're not really actually doing anything in the class. So
Well, it's free.
not for long. Got to put a deposit down.
It wasn't free when I did it.
No,
I don't know if it's free now or not, but it wasn't free. It was just much cheaper. But I still paid like 500 a module, I think.
I don't think I've paid anything. It's free for me.
Well, I went to study school, which is a better school.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
On that note, I'll call it here. See you guys.
See you guys next week. Bye.